A werewolf shifter romance audiobook written by Catherine Stewart. Prologue. Ages before memory blurred into myth, the forest hummed with a different song, not just the howl of the hunt or the rustle of leaves, but a deeper resonance, a hum woven into the very fabric of the earth. In those days, the moon shadows were more than just fierce warriors. They were a symphony. Their strength came from the omegas, not through brawn, but through an ethereal connection to the land, to each other, to the whisper of forgotten ancestors. Omegas weren't simply healers. They were the heartbeat of the pack, the intuitive anchor, the guardians of a delicate balance that flowed from root to sky. Golden light had once pulsed from their dens, warming every wolf, grounding every howl. But power is a hungry beast, and envy, a cunning serpent. Certain alpha lines, swollen with ambition, with a thirst for singular dominance, they mistook the Omega's quiet strength for weakness. They coveted the visible glory of the hunt, the undeniable might of the Alpha's command. And they feared the unseen influence, the inherent balance that Omega magic brought. They believed true power lay only in control, in hierarchy, in the brute force of their own will. And so, the betrayal came. Swift, brutal, silent. The Omegas were stripped of their sacred duties, their magic branded as superstition, their voices silenced, their essence twisted into servitude. The ancient texts were rewritten, their true history erased, replaced by generations of convenient lies. The golden light faded, replaced by the rigid, shadowed strength of tooth and claw alone. The pack learned to thrive in this new way, but a subtle rot began to set in, a spiritual malaise that slowly, imperceptibly, dimmed their brilliance, weakened their very soul. Centuries passed. The lie became truth. The Omegas became shadows, their potent essence a forgotten spark buried deep beneath layers of fear and oppression. The forests still hummed, but the song was discordant, incomplete. The land cried out for balance. And somewhere, in the darkest, most overlooked corner of the moonshadow den, that forgotten spark stirred. A suppressed rage, boiling for generations, was about to ignite. The ancient covenant was about to remember. And when it awoke, it wouldn't be with the gentle hum of peace, but with the searing force of a fury that would shatter traditions and claim everything in its path. The morning light, what little of it found its way into the communal den, always felt thin and cold. It was a faint gray wash over the worn pelts, and the lingering scent of stale fur. My fingers, perpetually chapped, worked without pause. I was meticulously patching a warrior's torn shoulder guard, pushing the thick, coarse thread through the stiff hide. It felt heavy in my hands. Even so, the other she-wolves, their coats gleaming with health and status, moved past me as if I wasn't there. No matter how hard I tried, their gazes always slid right over me. Just like that, I was invisible. Again. A soft, distressed whimper sliced through the low hum of pack life. My head snapped up. My senses instantly drew to the sound. A tiny pup, hardly weaned, whimpered by the den entrance, its small paw bleeding from a fresh scrape. My chest ached. Before she could move, the pup's beta mother, a sleek she-wolf named Lyra, merely sighed. Her gaze flickered to me for a beat. What followed was a casual wave of her paw. "Omega," she called, her voice flat. "See to it." Without thinking, my body moved on instinct. I dropped the guard. Moments later, I was kneeling beside the trembling pup. Its fur, soft against my fingers, was already matted with dirt. My hands, despite their roughness, moved with a surprising gentleness. I murmured soft, soothing words. I pulled out the small pouch of crushed herbs from my belt. The scent of pine and mint filled the air. Soon after, the pup stopped whimpering, its golden eyes, wide with trust, fixed on mine. I cleaned the wound, and then I pressed the cool paste onto its tiny paw. It healed faster than it should have. Yet, Lyra just grunted. "Good enough," she said, before turning away. She pulled her pup close. It was a dismissal, just like every other day. I felt it, clear as day, that cold weight settling in my chest. It was a familiar ache, a constant companion. Deep down, I knew the truth. My worth was measured only in my labor, not in who I was. That's why the invisible hands were enough. They didn't need a heart or a soul. Still, across the busy den, I caught Aster's eye. Her slender frame was bent over a pile of dirty bedding, but her gaze met mine. A shared, tired glance passed between us. It was a silent language, spoken through years of mutual hardship. Aster's small smile, fleeting as it was a lifeline. It felt like the only real thing in this entire, bustling den. That night, maybe it was fate, but I overheard Lyra complaining to another beta about the weakness creeping into the pack. Hunts are getting leaner, she grumbled, and the younger ones, they just don't have the fire anymore. Her words felt like an odd, cold wind. What was truly wrong? Was it just weak warriors or something else entirely? What I didn't know was how deeply this hidden problem ran, this undercurrent of unease. It was like a tiny crack in the dam, and I felt it, even if no one else did. The Moonshadow Den usually settled into a quiet hum by midnight, a low thrum of sleeping bodies, and slow breathing. Tonight, the silence roared. I tucked myself deeper into our small corner. The cramped space felt both stifling and comforting. Aster, already curled beside me, was a thin warmth against my side. Her scent, earthy like damp moss and honest effort, was always a balm to my frayed nerves. Under the weight of his stare, the invisible gaze of the pack's judgment, I often felt so alone, but not with Aster. "Rough day?" Aster whispered, her voice a soft murmur in the dimness. Her breath was warm against my ear. "Same as always," I replied, the words tasting like ash. My heart skipped a beat, and then a sigh, heavy with years of unspoken frustration. Another pup scraped its paw. Lyra waved me over like I was a tool, not a wolf. Aster knew. She always knew. In fact, she'd felt that dismissive wave hundreds of times herself. "I saw," Aster murmured. Her fingers, just as chapped as mine, found my hand and squeezed gently. "They see us. But they don't see us, do they?" Her question hung in the air. We knew the answer. We lived it. Maybe it was fate, but in those quiet moments, our shared understanding was a shield against the endless indignity. No matter how hard she tried, Lyra couldn't hide the grumbling today either, I continued, lowering my voice even further. "About the hunts, about the pups. It's like something's off. A coldness, a thinness in the pack's spirit." I could taste it, a faint bitterness on the wind. As the wind shifted outside, I could almost smell it. That's why I often felt it so keenly. It wasn't just physical lack, it was deeper. Aster shivered, even though the den was warm. "I feel it too, Rhea. It's like the energy here is dull, like an old knife, not as sharp as the stories say it used to be." She pulled a small dried berry from her tunic pocket, pressing it into my palm. "My grandmother used to say the pack was once connected to something more, something deep in the earth. That's why the old stories about Omegas are different." She didn't know what scared her more, the truth, or the whispers of a forgotten magic. "What do you mean, different?" I pressed, my voice barely a breath. My heart pounded so loudly. My wolf pressed forward, curious. "She just said we had a song. A voice the pack needed to truly thrive," Aster whispered, her eyes wide in the gloom. "But it was silenced, because some didn't like the tune." Her answer was vague, an open loop. I could feel a knot tighten in my stomach. What exactly had been silenced? And who had done it? This wasn't just about our miserable lives now. It was about a forgotten past. a betrayal that echoed through generations. This conversation, it made me wonder about the true history of our kind. It was a secret, passed down in whispers, and it felt heavy. A burden of truth. The morning light, unusually harsh today, streamed into the Alpha's meeting den. It painted long, accusing shadows across the faces of the pack's leaders. I was there, an invisible shadow myself, refilling water gourds and replacing withered herbs on the long, polished stone table. My scent, usually neutral, was muted. My movements, practiced over years, were silent. Darian, the Alpha, sat at the head of the table. His sheer presence was a weight in the room. He was a mountain of muscle and dark fur. His golden eyes, sharp, constantly scanning, commanded respect. Yet, there was a subtle tension around his mouth, a grim line that spoke of unseen burdens. His broad shoulders seemed to carry more than just the pack's physical weight. It was like he was holding up the sky. "The patrol routes must be stricter," Darian rumbled, his gaze sweeping over his betas. "Because the recent activity is unsettling." His voice was low but firm. A young beta, sleek and eager, piped up. "Alpha, I found strange tracks near the eastern border last night. Not rogue, not lone wolf. Something different, heavy, and a scent like old blood and ozone." He shivered slightly. Darian's jaw tightened. He dismissed the young beta with a curt nod. "Focus on known threats, Riker. We don't chase shadows." His voice was dismissive. Still, I felt it, clear as day, a prickle along my spine. That scent, old blood and ozone. I'd caught a faint whiff of it yesterday near the eastern training grounds. It had been like a static charge in the air, making my fur stand on end. I remembered it now, with a chill. Then, for a single, bewildering moment, Darian's gaze snapped to mine. His golden eyes, usually so dismissive, held a flicker of something unreadable. Surprise? Curiosity? Regret? I couldn't tell. And then, just like that, he was looking past me again. My heart skipped. The space between them burned. That brief, unsettling connection left me breathless. It was gone as quickly as it came, leaving behind a faint, lingering heat where his gaze had rested. He continued to discuss strategies. No matter how hard she tried, I knew he hadn't truly seen me. Not the real me. Later, as I gathered the empty gourds, the forest wind shifted. It carried that same unsettling scent. Stronger now. A faint, almost imperceptible metallic tang mixed with something primal. Something unknown. It was like a chill breath down my neck. Without warning, a vision, fleeting and violent, flashed behind my eyes. A glimpse of shadowy figures, moving too fast, too silent. A sense of wrongness, of ancient wrongness. My breath caught. I didn't know what scared her more, the vision, or the Alpha's blindness to the real danger creeping closer. As the sky darkened outside the den, I felt it, a tightening in my gut. The air thickened, the tension broke. Something was coming. And Darian, for all his strength, wasn't ready. Was any of us? The uneasy quiet didn't last, not even a heartbeat. It snapped like dry kindling. Without warning, the forest exploded. A chilling, guttural howl ripped through the air, not one of ours. And then, shadows erupted from the tree line. Rogues! My breath caught. They moved like ghosts, too fast, too many. Their scent, old blood and ozone, slammed into my nose, sharp and metallic. Just like that, the attack was on. My heart pounded so loudly it felt like a drum against my ribs. Warriors scrambled, snarls, cries. It was a nightmare come alive. What followed was pure chaos. I saw Darian, a dark blur of power, leaping into the fray. He was a whirlwind of teeth and muscle. His growls tore through the air, shaking the very ground. With every heartbeat, another moon shadow fell. The rogues were too cunning, too brutal. Meanwhile, a massive rogue, scarred and fierce, broke through our lines. He moved like a dark storm, aimed right for Darien. My blood ran cold. I saw Darien fight. He was strong, so strong. But the rogue alpha, he was a beast. Larger, faster. Just like that, the rogue alpha found an opening. He moved with a snake's speed, and then he struck Darien. A sickening thud echoed. Darien fell. My alpha. He was on his knees. My heart skipped. No, it couldn't be. As Darien struggled, a cruel, satisfied snarl twisted the rogue alpha's lips. He lifted his paw, massive claws extended, ready for the killing blow. My world tilted. And just like that, everything changed. Because of that, my eyes darted to Aster. She was trying to pull a terrified pup away from danger, hiding it behind a fallen log. But then, a rogue warrior, not even looking, just swung. He hit Aster. She cried out, a sharp, raw sound of pain that ripped through me like a knife. My closest friend, hurting. Something inside me shifted. A tremor began deep in my bones. It wasn't fear anymore. No, it was a burning, blistering rage. It was the anger of every Omega before me. It was Aster's scream. It was Darien, helpless. Fury propelled me through the jungle. My teeth bared without thinking. A guttural roar, primal and raw, tore from my throat. It shook the very trees. My vision flared. Silver light exploded from my body, a searing pulse that slammed into the rogue alpha. He reeled back, disoriented, clutching his head. He dropped his paw. In that moment, everything narrowed. I didn't know what scared her more, the power, or the desperate need to use it. As if pulled by a string, my body moved on instinct. I didn't think. I didn't hesitate. I lunged. I threw myself at Darien, not to save him, but to claim him. My teeth found his neck, my jaws clamped down, not a gentle bite. This was a forceful, undeniable mark of possession, a brand, a primal assertion. His body stiffened beneath me, and then a surge of overwhelming power, his, mine, ours, flowed between us. It burned, it merged, it bound. The bond pulsed, the air thickened. Time stood still. The rogue pack, sensing the profound, terrifying shift, panicked. They turned, and they fled. They left behind a stunned, bewildered silence. My name hung in the air, echoing in the quiet that followed. This was it. There was no going back. The communal healing den smelled thick with blood and antiseptic herbs. My hands, still trembling slightly, moved on instinct. I worked quickly, trying to mend the injured. My newly awakened touch felt different now, stronger. It hummed with a strange energy. I could feel the life force in every wolf swirling beneath my fingertips. Even so, the raw, burning awareness of Darien never left me. His unconscious body, lying on a makeshift cot, pulled at me like an invisible chain. My world tilted. That's why I felt him so intensely. Soon after, a low groan rippled through the den. Darien was waking. His golden eyes, clouded at first, snapped open. They locked onto mine. For a heartbeat, there was just confusion. Then the realization hit him, like a blow. His gaze dropped to his neck, to the fresh, angry mark my teeth had left. My heart pounded so loudly. A growl rose in his throat, a deep, furious sound that promised pain. It wasn't just anger, it was humiliation. He tried to rip at the mark, his hand shaking, but the bond held. Tight. What? What have you done? He snarled, his voice rough, raspy with pain. He tried to rise, but his body was weak. He fought against the invisible tether. You claimed me, an Omega. His eyes blazed. He glared at me, a beast caged. I felt it, clear as day, his fury, and his sheer, unadulterated disbelief. It was like a wave of cold fury washing over me through our connection. My breath caught. My own rage, usually suppressed, flared. I saved you! I shot back, my voice trembling, but firm. Your alpha was falling. Your pack was breaking. Because of that, I couldn't just stand there and let it happen. My wolf pressed forward. What choice did I have, Darian? Watch you die? He snarled again, a low, rumbling sound that spoke of pure animalistic rage. You had no right. Omegas don't claim, we are claimed. His words were like sharp claws digging into my soul. This is an abomination. Do you understand? An Omega can't be Luna. Never! Deep down, she knew the truth. He was right, according to their rules, but his words still hurt, like a physical blow. Aster, who had been sitting quietly nearby, now looked at me. Her expression was a mix of awe and worry. Other wolves, still dazed from the fight, watched us with wide eyes. Whispers started. An Omega Luna? Impossible! It's unnatural. Their disbelief was a palpable weight, but then a few injured Omegas, still weak from the fight, looked at me with something new. Something like hope. An open loop. What would they do? Darian, exhausted, finally fell back onto the cot. His breathing was heavy. This bond, it will be broken, he vowed, his golden eyes burning with cold fury. By me. But even as he said it, his hand, almost unconsciously, reached out. His fingers brushed against my fur where I still knelt. A shiver ran through me. His touch was like fire and ice. It was a promise of conflict. And just like that, I knew our lives would never be the same. This was just the beginning of our strange, unwelcome connection, the Alpha's den. It felt huge, too big, and too cold. The air, usually thick with Darian's dominant scent, was now a strange mix of his anger and my own simmering defiance. After that, we were moved here, because the elders insisted the bonded pair, even an unnatural one, must share a den. Darian slumped on his large sleeping pelt, his face a mask of furious resentment. He glared at me from across the vast space. It was like he was a king, and I was a prisoner. What's worse, I could feel the unwanted hum of our bond, a constant thrum beneath my skin, pulling us together even as our wills pushed us apart. You will stay on your side, Darian growled, his voice low and dangerous. He gestured to the far corner. You will speak only when spoken to, and you will not interfere with pack business. His words were like blunt instruments. They tried to flatten me. Is that clear, Omega? My heart pounded so loudly. But then, a strange defiance bubbled up. It warmed my veins. I am not just Omega anymore, I countered, my voice surprisingly steady. I met his burning gaze. I am yours, I said, a slow, deliberate cadence. And you are mine. I felt it, clear as day, the shock that flickered in his eyes. A beat later, a growl rumbled in his chest. But he didn't move. He couldn't, because our bond held him. You forget yourself, he snarled, trying to regain control. His pride was a raw wound. This bond is a mistake, a curse. It does not make you Luna. Doesn't it? I asked, my voice softer now, but sharper. I felt a surge of intuition, as if the world narrowed. What do you call it then, Alpha, when a mate's touch healed your dying body? I stepped closer. Just a single step. The air thickened. The space between them burned. When a mate's fury saved your life? My voice trembled. When the pack still lives because of my choice? His eyes blazed. The moment their eyes locked, the air crackled with a silent, volatile energy. He had no answer. He just stared at me, his fury warring with something else in his golden eyes. Something like confusion. And a dawning, terrible realization. What followed was a strained silence. I could hear his heartbeat. It was fast. My wolf stirred. Her world tilted. I could feel his anger, yes, but also his humiliation, his fear, and a deeply buried, reluctant spark of raw, primal attraction. It was a dangerous mix. So he just shifted. The pelt beneath him rustled. He stared at the far wall. Eventually, Darian just sighed, a ragged sound. I will not tolerate insubordination, he muttered, his voice lower now. We will find a way out of this. His words held authority, but they lacked conviction. Aster, who had limped in to bring me some water, looked at Darian, then at me. Her expression was a subtle mix of triumph and trepidation. She saw the shift. She saw the new power in me. And what it cost. This wasn't just about us anymore. It was about the fate of the entire Moonshadow Pack. And I knew deep down this den, for all its tension, was just the first step on a very long, very dangerous road. The air outside the Alpha's den still crackled. Not just with tension, but with something new. Something unspoken. After that, the news of an Omega claiming the Alpha spread like wildfire. Whispers followed me everywhere I went. They swirled like dry leaves in the wind. Some were fearful, some were scornful. But then there were those, a quiet few, whose eyes held a strange, dawning hope. It was a new feeling, like being seen for the first time. My new life as Luna was a strange one. I walked through the den and wolves parted, not always out of respect, but often out of confusion, and a bit of fear. Darian, my unwilling mate, spent most of his time overseeing patrols. He made sure to keep a physical distance. Still, I felt the hum of our bond, a low thrum beneath my skin. It was a constant reminder. No matter how hard she tried, I couldn't ignore it. That's why I started exploring my new powers. My mending touch, once gentle, now felt like a warm, pulsing light. It healed deeper, faster. It was like feeling the very threads of life. One morning, while gathering medicinal herbs in the quiet woods, a strange sensation washed over me. The trees seemed to whisper secrets. A fleeting vision, like smoke, danced at the edge of my sight. Ancient wolves, howling, their fur glowing with a soft, silver light. It was unsettling, but then also strangely beautiful. Because of that, my heart pounded. What did it mean? What was this new power? As I returned to the den, an old Omega, her fur faded like winter snow, approached me. Her name was Alara, and her eyes held a deep, knowing sadness. She had watched me for days. She held a gnarled walking stick. The song, it has returned, hasn't it? She murmured, her voice like rustling leaves. My breath caught. What song? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. My wolf stirred. The one they silenced, Alara replied, her gaze piercing. The true song of the Omegas. They thought it was gone, because they feared its power. Her words felt like a forgotten truth echoing in my bones. You are like the deep roots, child. You anchor the pack. You ground them. She looked at Darian, who stood across the den, his back to us. He is the storm, but even a storm needs roots. She sighed. Be careful, little one. The pack isn't ready for the truth. And the old ones, they don't give up their lies easily. She left me with a small, knowing smile. An open loop. What other truths were hidden? What had truly been silenced? This conversation, it made me feel a heavy weight and a strange new purpose. The journey of understanding had just begun. The days turned into a strange dance. Darian, still furious about our bond, assigned me tasks that were clearly meant to be demeaning. Things like scrubbing warrior practice mats or sorting spoiled rations. But then, my new intuition often found things no one else could. Hidden sickness in a pup. A small patch of poisonous berries overlooked in the forest. Because of that, my success, however small, chipped away at his icy facade. One afternoon, I was cleaning a warrior's training cut. The wound had been festering for days, refusing to heal. It's just a stubborn infection, the beta warrior, a gruff male named Kale, grunted. He waved me off, trying to dismiss me. Just like that, his wound pulsed with angry red. I felt it, clear as day, the deeper infection pulsing beneath his skin. My enhanced mending touch burned. I pressed my palm against his fur. A soft, silver light pulsed from my hand. Kale gasped. Moments later, the swelling went down. The redness faded. The wound began to close, smooth, and clean. He stared at his arm, and then at me. His jaw dropped. How? Kale stammered. His voice was filled with disbelief. Before I could answer, Torvin, a large, grizzled beta with a sneer usually reserved for rogues, pushed through the crowd. His eyes were cold. Omega tricks, he snarled. He was tall with a thick, scarred pelt, and a voice like grinding stones. Don't trust it, Kale, this is unnatural. Torvin had always been one of the most traditional wolves. He saw my presence as a direct insult to the Alpha's authority. He had his own followers. Because of that, his words held weight. Aster, who had been watching from the shadows, stepped forward. Her small frame seemed to grow taller. Unnatural? She challenged, her voice surprisingly steady. She stood between me and Torvin. Her loyalty was fierce. Rhea saved your life, Kale, just like she saved Alpha Darian's life. Is saving a life unnatural now, Torvin? Her question hung in the air. Other Omegas around us stirred. They looked at Aster, then at me. Torvin's eyes narrowed. He took a step towards Aster. A low growl rumbled in his chest. Watch your tongue, little Omega, he warned. But then Darian arrived. He moved like a storm. His presence silenced the den. He had seen Kale's healing. His golden eyes swept over the scene. They landed on Torvin, and then on me. He didn't know what scared him more, Torvin's defiance or my growing power. Enough, Darian roared. His voice vibrated with raw authority. The wound is healed. The matter is closed. He didn't praise me, but he didn't condemn me either. He didn't side with Torvin. That's why it was a small victory. It was a grudging acceptance. And just like that, I felt a surge of quiet triumph. The pack was watching, and they were seeing. This was just the beginning. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and fear. A sudden tremor had shaken the eastern hunting grounds, and now frantic cries echoed through the forest. A rock slide. Several wolves were trapped. Darian, his face grim, barked orders. He organized rescue efforts using traditional methods, strongest warriors digging moving heavy boulders. But it was slow and dangerous. What's worse, the air pulsed with a strange, dark static. It made my fur prickle. I knew it. Something was wrong, more than just a rock slide. My heart pounded so loudly. My wolf pressed forward. A strong intuition, cold and sharp, flooded my mind. It was like the forest itself was speaking to me, whispering warnings. I saw a path, a hidden crevice unseen by others. It would be faster, safer. Even so, telling Darian felt impossible. He hated my Omega tricks. But then, a mournful howl reached us. It was Kale, trapped deep inside the rock slide. He was hurt, badly. My breath caught. No matter how hard she tried, Darian's method was too slow. Without thinking, I pushed through the frantic crowd. I went straight to Darian. He was shouting orders. His face was streaked with dirt. Alpha Darian, I called, my voice cutting through the noise. He turned. His golden eyes blazed with frustration. I know another way. A passage. It's hidden beneath the roots. I pointed. It's faster, less dangerous. Darian stared at me. His expression was a mix of fury and disbelief. You question my command, Omega? He snarled, a low growl rumbling in his chest. He took a step towards me. The space between us burned. His scent in the air was raw power and frustration. No, I shot back, my voice trembling but firm. I don't question it. I ate it, because I can see what you can't. Our pack is weakening, Darian. Our methods are failing. We need more. My wolf stirred. Her instincts surged. I could feel the earth beneath my paws. It pulsed with a forgotten knowledge, as if fate demanded it. He hesitated. His gaze dropped to my mark. A beat later, a flicker of something passed through his eyes. Not trust, but maybe a desperate, reluctant curiosity. And then, he nodded. A single, sharp nod. Show me, he roared. I led the way. My heart pounded so loudly, through dense brush, over gnarled roots. The passage was barely a crack in the rock face, but it was there, Just like that, we found Kale. He was pinned, his leg bleeding badly. His fur was matted with dust. His eyes were glazed with pain. I knelt beside him, my hands, glowing with a soft silver light, pressed against his wound. A gentle warmth spread. Kyle gasped as the pain eased. The bone began to mend. The light was like a soft song, singing him back to health. Darian watched. His expression was unreadable. When her name left his lips, it was rough. "Rhea," he muttered, his voice barely a whisper. The pack witnessed it. The sheer power. It was undeniable. What followed was a quiet triumph. The rogue pack was still out there, though. A faint scent of their presence lingered in the air, a cold promise of danger. I didn't know what scared her more, their return, or the fragile alliance I now shared with Darian. This new bond, this burgeoning power. It was a dangerous game. And the next move was unknown. The quiet tension in the Alpha's den had become a constant hum, like a live wire. Since the rock slide rescue, Darian had grudgingly listened to my suggestions. But he still didn't trust me fully, and that was a problem, because the pack felt it. They sensed the shift. What's worse, Torvin, that grizzled beta, was making sure everyone knew it. He moved through the communal areas like a shadow, his scent heavy with disapproval. His voice was a low rumble. He planted seeds of doubt. One afternoon, I was helping tend the wounded from the rock slide. My touch pulsed with that silver light now. It felt stronger every day. Meanwhile, I heard Torvin's voice, sharp and cold, cutting through the usual murmurs. He was talking to a group of warriors. The Alpha. He listens to an Omega now? He sneered. His words dripped with poison. This bond is unnatural. It weakens him. He's becoming soft. He looked at Darian, who stood a little ways off, deep in thought. He's distracted. Because of that, we are vulnerable. My heart pounded so loudly. My wolf pressed forward. I felt it. Clear as day, the fear his words stirred in the warriors. They looked at Darian, then at me. Their faces held questions. Was it true? Was their Alpha truly weakened? Torvin knew how to make them doubt. He wanted to turn them against me, and against Darian, because he wanted power. Maybe it was fate, but his ambition was clear. Later, I confronted Darian in our den. The air thickened. The space between them burned. "Torvin is turning the pack against us," I said, my voice low and urgent. My breath caught. "He's saying the bond makes you weak. He's saying I'm a blight." Darian just scoffed. He turned away. "Torvin is a traditionalist. He's always been wary of change. He'll come around." His shoulders were stiff. No matter how hard she tried, he just didn't see it. He wouldn't admit it. "He's not just wary, Darian. He's poisoning the pack," I insisted, stepping closer. "He's calling it Omega corruption. Because of that, he's creating a fracture. This is more than just whispers. This is rebellion." Darian turned. His golden eyes blazed. "You overthink things, Omega. Worry about your herbs. I will handle the pack. I am Alpha." His words were like a wall. He didn't want to see it. Perhaps he couldn't. Because admitting an internal threat meant admitting weakness in his own command. And that was something he wouldn't do. Not yet. I knew this was a dangerous open loop. What would happen if Torvin succeeded in dividing the pack? We were already walking on thin ice, and the rogues were still out there. I felt it, like a chill on my fur, the growing shadow of an unseen threat, waiting for us to break. That night, sleep wouldn't come. My mind raced with Torvin's venom, and Darian's stubborn blindness. My bones remembered him. The faint scent of the rogue pack still clung to the edges of the forest. I got up. I paced our den. Aster's small ledger, tucked away in my tunic, felt heavy. That's why I finally decided to look at it closely. Alara's words echoed in my mind. The true song, they thought it was gone. I lit a small, flickering oil lamp. Its weak light danced across the ancient pages. The script was old, almost unreadable. But then my Omega magic pulsed. It hummed through my veins. It was like feeling an electric current. My hands trembled. As if summoned, my senses sharpened. I could see the true words now. Hidden meanings. What followed was a wave of truth so profound, it stole my breath. It washed over me. The ancient betrayal. It wasn't just neglect. It was deliberate. Male alphas, ravenous for total control, had feared the Omega's true power, their intuitive connection, their balancing force, their ability to bind the pack's soul. Because of that, they systematically stripped Omegas of their sacred duties. They twisted the prophecies. They branded our magic as weak, as useless. They rewrote history itself, erasing the golden threads of Omega strength. They wanted absolute dominance. What's worse, they weakened all of werewolf kind. Because true power came from balance, not just brute force. A guttural cry tore from my throat. It wasn't just my pain. It was the pain of generations, the anguish of a lineage suppressed. Darian, who had been sleeping fitfully, jolted awake. His golden eyes snapped to mine. He saw the ledger. He saw the silver light pulsing around my hands. As if fate demanded it, the sheer force of the revelation slammed into him, through our bond. I didn't know what scared her more, his fury or his heartbreak. He cried out. He choked. He felt it, clear as day, the full weight of his ancestors' lies, the immense shame. It was a raw, visceral experience for both of us. "No," Darian whispered, his voice hoarse. His face was pale. He clutched his head. "It can't be. Our strength, our history, a lie." His world tilted. Between them, something cracked. It was the foundation of his beliefs. He saw the decay of the moon shadows. He saw the subtle weakness, the missing piece, all because of this ancient, terrible truth. He looked at me, his eyes filled with a shattering mix of horror and a dawning, terrible respect. "All this time, you," my voice trembled. "We were never just servants, Darian. We were the roots, and you cut us." It was both an accusation and a painful truth. The air thickened with unspoken words. The moment their eyes locked, the weight of centuries of injustice settled between us. This changed everything. It was a truth that would either break us apart or forge us into something entirely new. The shattering truth had left a gaping wound between us, but also a strange, desperate opening. After that, Darian and I began a fragile truce. He still wrestled with the shame of his lineage, yet he couldn't deny the truth. He'd seen it. He'd felt it. He'd lived it. Because of that, our shared den, once a battleground of wills, became a space for hushed conversations and reluctant shared meals. The scent of pine and rich earth filled the air. This changes everything," Darian muttered one morning, staring into the flickering fire. His voice was heavy, his shoulders slumped. "How do we tell the pack? They'll rebel. They'll never believe it." His jaw was set. "They'll have to," I replied, my voice firm. My own resolve was hardening. "Because the pack is dying, Darian. Slowly. This weakness Torvin talks about, it's the cost of their lies. We need to restore the balance. We need to teach them." I found myself speaking not just for Omegas, but for the pack's survival. This was a purpose beyond my own hidden fury. It was a purpose for us all. And so, quietly, I began. I gathered the few Omegas who showed any interest. Aster was my first, my most eager student. Her eyes glowed with fierce understanding. I taught them how to truly feel the earth, how to listen to its hum, how to let their empathy flow into healing. It was simple, and it was powerful, because their ancestors remembered. The moment their eyes locked, I could see the light returning to their own eyes. They were remembering, too. Meanwhile, Torvin was not idle. He sensed Darian's distraction. He saw my growing influence. He interpreted Darian's quiet conversations with me as weakness. What's worse, the scent of the rogue pack, that metallic tang of old blood and ozone, was growing stronger. It was closer. Torvin used this. He blamed the Alpha's Omega mate. "She brings chaos! She invites danger!" he snarled to his loyalists. His words were like daggers. Darian, sensing Torvin's growing audacity, began to subtly protect me. A sharp glance. A sudden presence at my side when I was speaking with other wolves. He would step between me and those who dared to openly glare. It was grudging. It was slow. But it was there. His mine factor, once a hateful claim, was beginning to transform into something protective. Something deeply primal. As her wolf stirred, I felt it. Clear as day. "The rogues are close," Darian announced one evening, his voice tight. "And Torvin? He's bolder than I thought." His golden eyes met mine across the den. The space between them burned. "We're running out of time, Rhea." His voice was low. He didn't know what scared him more, the external war or the internal one. But I knew one thing. We would face it together, because we had to. Our fragile alliance was the only hope. The scent of danger, sharp and metallic, hung heavy in the air, like spilled blood. It was stronger now. After that, we knew the rogues were testing our borders again. Darian's jaw was tight. He moved with a restless energy, his golden eyes scanning the tree line. And then the first low growl rippled through the moonshadow territory. It was a probing attack. Fast. Brutal. "They're hitting the south flank!" a warrior shouted, his voice raw. My heart pounded so loudly, my wolf pressed forward. Darian barked orders, his voice like thunder. But then he turned to me. His eyes, usually so guarded, held a flicker of desperate trust. "Rhea, where's their main force hitting? Your senses—" he demanded. He relied on me. He needed me. I closed my eyes, reaching out. My Omega magic pulsed. The forest whispered. I felt it, clear as day, a concentration of rogue energy, not south, but west, a clever diversion. "West!" I called out, my voice clear. "They're feinting south! Their real attack is west, through the Whispering Pass!" My instincts surged. Darian hesitated for only a heartbeat. But then, he roared. "West! All warriors to the Whispering Pass, move!" He chose to trust me. Because of that, a surge of adrenaline hit me. He was risking his authority. For me. For my sight. What followed was a furious dash. We met the rogues at the pass. Their alpha snarled in frustration. Our pack was ready. We pushed them back. Moments later, the skirmish ended. Still, during the fight, I saw it. A dark shape. Torvin. He was supposed to be guarding the northern watchtower. Instead, he was near the pass, but not fighting. He was watching. And then, he subtly tripped one of our younger warriors, causing a momentary gap in our formation. A rogue almost got through. Darian, busy with another rogue, didn't see it. But I did. My blood ran cold. The moment their eyes locked, I could feel the cold calculation in Torvin's gaze. He wanted us to fail. He wanted Darian to look weak. He was a traitor. Later, I confronted Darian again, the scent of fresh blood and victory still clinging to his fur. "Torvin sabotaged us," I stated, my voice low. "He deliberately made our line falter." Darian's jaw tightened. "You saw that?" His tone was clipped. He didn't want to believe it. "Yes, because I felt his intent. He wishes you harm. And me," I insisted, my voice rising. "He's more than just a traditionalist. He's a snake in our den." The air thickened. Darian looked at me, a deep frown carving lines into his forehead. "This isn't just about my sight anymore, Alpha. This is about his loyalty and his hatred." I knew, deep down, this revelation about Torvin would force Darian's hand. And just like that, our internal conflict became a matter of life and death. The air in the clearing felt different. Sacred. After that skirmish, the pack was still shaken. and Torvin's quiet rebellion, though unseen by many, was a growing wound. I knew we needed to heal the fracture. Deep down, I knew the truth. We needed to connect. That's why I proposed the ancestral unity ritual. It was a forgotten Omega rite, meant to bind the pack's spirits. Darian, against every ingrained belief, agreed. His public support for me was a powerful act. His golden eyes met mine, a silent promise passing between us. Before either could speak, Aster, her eyes shining with fierce pride, stepped forward. She helped me prepare the ritual. We lit small, glowing embers. We arranged ancient stones in a circle. The scent of sweet herbs and burning cedar filled the air. My heart pounded so loudly. With every heartbeat, a sense of deep, ancient power rose within me. It felt like my very bones remembered him, the old ways, the true ways. Darian stood beside me. His touch was firm and reassuring. He was a mountain of solid presence. He held my hand as I began the chant. My voice, usually soft, resonated with the ancient words. It filled the clearing. The silver light pulsed from my palms. It spread through the circle of stones. And then, it reached the wolves. You could see it, a visible wave of warmth and connection. It flowed over them. It linked them. It was like their individual lights, once dim, now flared. They shone brighter. Many gasped. Some whimpered, not in pain, but in recognition. They felt the power of true unity. They felt their ancestors calling. Torvin, however, did not glow. He stood at the edge of the circle, his face a mask of cold fury. His jaw was tight, his eyes narrowed. He saw the undeniable proof of Omega power. He saw the pack responding. And just like that, everything changed for him, because he saw his control slipping, because he saw his world dissolving. This was not just about tradition now, it was about outright power. What followed was a chilling revelation. He turned, and he vanished into the deepening shadows. Meanwhile, a mile away, the rogue Alpha, his face a snarling mask, waited. He smelled the unity ritual. He felt the surge of moonshadow power. It filled him with rage. That's why he met Torvin at the edge of the forest. Torvin offered him a way in, a secret path, a plan to strike from within, while the rogues attacked from without. A devastating plot twist. He offered to break the moon shadows, to destroy their alpha, and to eliminate the Omega blight that now shone so brightly. The rogue alpha's smile was a cruel, hungry flash of white teeth. This alliance, forged in hatred, was a point of no return. We didn't know it then, but the storm was coming, and it was bringing hell with it. The moonshadows slept, their unified hum a soft lullaby in the night. But not us. My heart pounded so loudly. The shared ritual had left me trembling. Darian and I sat in our den. The flickering fire cast dancing shadows across his stern face. The air thickened. The space between them burned. His scent in the air was raw power. And something else now. Something soft and tender. The ritual. It worked, I whispered, my voice trembling. My chest ached. They felt it. The pack. They felt it, Darian. My wolf pressed forward. It was a victory, but it also felt fragile. Darian reached out. His large hand covered mine. His skin was rough, warm. They did, he rumbled, his voice low. It was quiet. It was almost a purr. He looked at me, his golden eyes, usually so guarded, now held a deep, vulnerable honesty. I felt it too, Rhea. The true connection, the song you speak of. It's real. My ancestors. They lied to us. They were fools. His grip tightened. I was a fool. My breath caught. No, Darian, I said softly. You were taught. You were misled. We all were. My voice trembled. I'm scared, Darian. I admitted it. The fear. The vulnerability. Scared of what's coming. Scared of losing everything we've found. Scared of this power. This rage. Can it truly save us? Or will it just burn us all? My thoughts spun. He pulled me closer. My head rested against his strong shoulder. His fur was soft. It smelled of earth and safety. "You're like a flame in the darkness, Rhea," he murmured, his breath warm against my hair. "A wildfire. And I've always been the rock. We need each other." His arm wrapped around me. This was it. Not just Alpha and Omega. Not just forced mates. This was something deeper, something real. "I need you," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. In that moment, everything shifted, as if the world narrowed. Fire bloomed beneath my skin. His confession, so raw, broke open something inside me. All the years of loneliness, all the anger, it flowed out. It merged with his. He leaned in. His lips found mine. The kiss was hesitant at first. Then it deepened. Hungry. Desperate. It was a promise. A silent vow. My fingers tangled in his thick fur. Our bodies pressed together. The bond pulsed, not with pain, but with pure, untamed desire. It was sizzling. It was undeniable. Our world tilted. And just like that, everything changed. We were more than just mates. We were soul. We were fire. We were home. As the quiet that followed stretched, a vision, sharp and brutal, flashed in my mind. A coordinated attack. Torvin, the rogue alpha, a final, desperate stand. My chest ached, but this time, it was for more than just fear. It was for what we had found, and what we stood to lose. The battle was coming, and we would face it together. Now, truly together. The Moonshadow Den, usually a place of warmth and comfort. Now, it was a trap. After that quiet moment with Darian, the peace shattered. Without warning, a chilling howl tore through the night. It wasn't just the rogue alpha. It was our howl, from within. My blood ran cold. Just like that, Torvin's rebellion erupted. Warriors loyal to him attacked our own defenses. They created gaps in our shield. And then, they started fires. My heart pounded so loudly it felt like a drum against my ribs. Because of that, panic rippled through the pack. "Our own fighting us!" Darian roared. His voice was a thunderclap. But he was fighting a losing battle. He was trying to push back the rogues on the outside, and also quell the traitors within. What followed was pure chaos, the scent of fear and burning fur. I saw Torvin. He was snarling, his face a mask of cruel triumph. He led his followers directly to the Alpha's den entrance. He blocked the escape. He wanted Darian trapped. Because of that, he knew this was his only chance. The rogue pack poured into our territory. They were a dark tide of tooth and claw. They swarmed us. My enhanced senses screamed. So much pain, so much hate. My silver light, usually a strong pulse, felt dim, overwhelmed by the sheer negativity. It flickered. "Rhea, stay with me!" Darian roared, his voice strained. He was a whirlwind of fury and desperation. He fought like a storm, trying to shield me, and Aster. He was trying to protect our core. He was trying to protect our family. He met a rogue brute, then a traitor warrior. Simultaneously. His movements, usually fluid, were now heavy. He was fighting on two fronts. His golden eyes blazed with a desperate ferocity. Meanwhile, a rogue brute, large and scarred, broke through. He was heading straight for me. His jaws dripped with saliva. Just like that, my breath caught. I tried to push my magic. My silver light flickered. It was weak. I felt it, clear as day, the darkness closing in. Darian was too far away. He was battling two at once. He saw the rogue. He let out a desperate, guttural howl. He couldn't reach me. His chest ached. He was pinned. My world tilted. The rogue alpha's snarl filled my ears. He was almost on me. Then, a familiar scent. Aster. She was limping, but her eyes were blazing with a fierce, protective love. She cried out my name. "Rhea!" she screamed. And then, she threw herself forward, between me and the rogue's jaws. The rogue alpha's jaws clamped shut. Not on me, on Aster. My heart pounded so loudly it felt like it ripped in two. A sickening crunch echoed through the din of battle. Aster let out a choked cry, a sound that twisted my insides. It was sharp. It was agonizing. She crumpled. Her eyes, wide with pain, found mine. A single tear tracked through the grime on her cheek. "Rhea," she whispered, her voice barely a breath. Don't give up." My breath caught. No, it couldn't be. My mind screamed. Without thinking, I collapsed beside her. My hands, usually so full of healing light, felt empty and useless. The silver energy that usually pulsed from my palms, it was gone. It felt broken, tainted by my own despair. The scent of her blood, warm and metallic, filled my nose. It was thick. It was suffocating. What's worse, her life force, once a steady flame, now flickered. It dimmed. She was slipping away. Because of me. Darian, witnessing Aster's sacrifice, let out a guttural howl of pure, unadulterated fury and pain. It was a raw, primal sound of agony. He fought through the chaos, a blur of dark fur and rage. He tore through rogues and traitors alike, a mad beast. But by the time he reached us, it was too late. He knelt beside Aster. His massive hand covered hers. His face was streaked with dirt and despair. His golden eyes, usually so fierce, now held pure defeat. He felt it, clear as day, Aster's life slipping away, like sand through his fingers. "No, Aster," Darian rasped, his voice thick with agony. His chest ached. "Don't leave us." Aster gave a weak cough. A fragile smile touched her lips. "It's for you, Rhea," she whispered, her gaze fixed on mine. Her voice was barely audible. "For the pack, for the song. Don't let it die again." Her eyes, so full of love, fluttered, and then they closed. Her body went limp. The warmth faded, the energy, the life. It was gone. The world tilted. My vision swam. Just like that, everything changed. The noise of the battle faded, the shouts, the snarls. All I could hear was the frantic pounding of my own heart, and the crushing silence where Aster's breath used to be. My best friend. Gone. Because of my fight. Because of my claim. My power, born of rage, felt like a destructive force. It had brought this. It had caused this. My chest ached. My thoughts spun. Deep down, I knew the truth. All hope felt lost. My wolf whimpered. It was buried deep in despair. This was my fault, my ultimate failure. And in that moment, I felt truly, utterly alone. The moon shadows were falling, and I had led them here. The moon shadows retreated. What followed was a desperate scramble to a hidden cave system, our last stronghold. The air was thick with the scent of fear and fresh wounds. I sat huddled in the deepest part of the cave, Aster's lifeless body cradled in my arms. Her fur was soft against my cheek, but so cold. So terribly cold. I tried to heal her. My hands pressed against her chest, but my silver light, that vibrant pulse of power, flickered. It died. It felt broken, tainted by my own despair. Darian sat across from me. He was bruised and bloodied, but his wounds were nothing compared to the agony in his eyes. He was slumped against the cold rock, his head in his hands. His strong shoulders trembled. He was consumed by guilt, because he had failed. He had failed his pack. He had failed me. He had failed Aster. He couldn't protect us. He was broken. And I felt it, clear as day, his profound despair through our bond. It mirrored my own. "It was a mistake," I whispered, my voice raw, barely audible. My breath caught, my chest ached. I stared at Aster's still face. My claim, my rage, it brought this. It just brought destruction, worse than before. My thoughts spun. The power, it's just chaos. It's not the song. My wolf pressed forward, but it was a whimpering, defeated sound. Darian lifted his head. His golden eyes, usually so commanding, were filled with a bleak resignation. "Maybe," he rasped, his voice rough with pain. He shook his head. "I led them here. I didn't see the truth sooner. I clung to the old ways. And because of that, Aster is gone. So many are gone." His voice trembled. He was broken. The silence stretched between us, a heavy blanket of defeat. It felt like the entire world had been ripped away. No matter how hard she tried, hope felt like a distant, cruel joke. Our bond, usually a burning fire, was now a cold, aching emptiness. It was the lowest point. My deepest fear had come true. My anger, unleashed, had led not to salvation, but to devastation. What was the point? Why did I even fight? Why did I even try to change anything? The weight of it all was crushing. Then, a faint, almost imperceptible warmth spread through my hand. Aster's hand. Even in death, her fingers were still intertwined with mine. A single, fleeting thought, not my own, brushed against my mind. Don't give up. We need you." It was Aster's voice, a fragile ember, a whisper against the roaring silence of my despair. It was almost gone, but it was there, a spark, a faint echo of hope in the stillness that followed. It was enough, just enough to remember. And just like that, a tiny flicker of resolve, born from the very ashes of my despair, began to stir. The night was dark, but a new dawn, though distant, might just be possible. The cold, damp air of the cave hung heavy, like a burial shroud. Aster's lifeless hand was still clasped in mine. Her skin felt like marble, so cold, so still. My own power, after her sacrifice, had felt broken. My chest ached. But then Aster's last words, those faint whispers, echoed in my mind. Don't give up. We need you." Her voice was so clear, like a tiny, persistent chime. Darian, battered and broken, sat beside me. His face was a mask of utter despair. He didn't speak. He just sat. His silence was louder than any howl. I felt it, clear as day, his profound guilt through our bond. It was a crushing weight. He blamed himself, because he was the alpha, because he believed it was his job to protect everyone, and he felt he had failed. He reached out. His large, rough hand covered mine. His touch was unsteady. It trembled. His golden eyes, usually so sharp, were dull with grief. No matter how hard she tried, he couldn't hide his pain. "Aster," I whispered, my voice raw. My throat felt tight. She said, "We need you." I looked at Darian, my vision blurred by tears. She died. For us. For the pack. For the song. My thoughts spun. He pulled me closer. He didn't speak. He just held me. His strong arms, usually so stiff, now felt like a desperate anchor. His warmth seeped into me. And then, a strange thing happened. As our bodies pressed together, as our grief mingled, our bond pulsed. Not with pain, not with fury, but with a deep, quiet resonance. It was like a forgotten chord being struck. My wolf stirred. Her world tilted. In the quiet that followed, a whisper, not of sound but of knowing, bloomed in my mind. It was the ancestral Omega magic. It showed me a truth I hadn't grasped before. Our power wasn't just individual, it was collective. The strength flowed not just from me, but from all Omegas. And it could flow through a true alpha, a willing alpha. Because the ancient betrayal had fractured this unity. It had cut off the alpha from the very source of balance. Aster's sacrifice, her dying act of pure love and connection, had somehow opened a new pathway. She had given her essence to the bond, to us. I pulled back slightly, looking into Darian's grieving eyes. "The lie," I whispered, my voice gaining a fragile strength. The lie was that Omegas fought alone, that our power was small, but it's not. It's the unity they feared. The balance. He just stared at me. He listened, as if fate demanded it. We are strong together, Darian, and if we truly unite, if your strength connects to ours, then we can fight back. My chest ached. Aster's sacrifice. It hadn't been in vain. It was a catalyst. It was the echo of hope. And just like that, a tiny flicker of resolve, born from the very ashes of my despair, began to stir. We had to try. For Aster. For the pack. The cave floor was cold beneath us, but the air hummed with a new energy. After that, Darian and I sat close, sketching out a plan. A desperate plan. On the smooth, dusty ground, he used a sharp stone to draw the terrain. The rogue pack's positions, Torvin's likely movements, his usual tactics. They'll expect us to defend here, Darian rumbled, pointing to a narrow choke point. His voice was grim. Because it's the most logical place. But logic didn't save us from the betrayal, did it? I countered, my voice firm. My wolf pressed forward. We won't be logical. We'll be moon shadows. I looked at him. We'll be balanced. My heart pounded so loudly. My vision, sharper now, showed me patterns in the forest. Hidden pathways, weak spots in the rogues' formation. I saw how their aggression made them blind. I explained my plan. It was daring. It was unorthodox. It was Omega strategy. We'll draw them out. Because of that, their main force will overextend. And then we'll hit them from 3 sides, not just with warriors, but with the Omegas. With our unity magic, we'll surround them, we'll overwhelm their senses, we'll break their cohesion. I could feel the energy surge, the strength, the power. Darian listened. His golden eyes, now clear and focused, tracked my every word. He looked at the map. He looked at me. This is madness, Rhea, he muttered. But his voice held a strange awe. It breaks every rule. Then he looked at Aster's body, still lying wrapped in a pelt nearby. But the rules, they failed us. He took my hand. His grip was firm. This was it, his trust, complete. We need the Omegas, I stated. Not just for healing, but for the core energy, for the song. My voice trembled. And we need you, Darian. Your strength, your leadership. But it must be balanced. With us. He nodded slowly. Then let's do it, he said, his voice deep with conviction. Let's show them what a true Moonshadow pack looks like. He stood. His back was straight. His shoulders, usually so burdened, now seemed to carry a new resolve. What followed was a quiet gathering. The remaining loyalists, a small, tired band, looked at us with hope and fear. We shared the plan. We spoke of Aster's sacrifice. We spoke of the ancient betrayal. We spoke of the true Omega strength. We were unified. For the first time, truly unified. We were ready. Because we had to be. Our numbers were few, but our spirit was unbroken. This was our last chance. The moon hung high, a silver eye watching from behind thin clouds. Its light cast long, dancing shadows. After that, we moved. Our steps were quiet. Grim. We were a small force, maybe 30 wolves, counting the few Omegas who could walk. But our spirits felt mighty. Each heartbeat was a drumbeat, a rhythm of purpose. Darian led the way, his massive form a dark silhouette against the forest. His scent, usually dominant, was now mingled with mine. It was a blend of earth and wildfire and hope. I walked beside him. My heart pounded so loudly. My senses were stretched tight. I felt the pulse of the forest. I felt the nervous energy of our pack and the arrogant anticipation of the rogues. Because of that, I could almost taste their victory. But they were wrong. We weren't defeated. Not yet. We were coming. Are they ready? Darian whispered, his voice low. He kept his gaze fixed on the path ahead. He was focused. He was a weapon. As ready as they can be, I replied. My voice was steady. They understand. They know what we're fighting for the moon shadows, for our truth, for Aster. My voice trembled. Aster's name hung in the air, a silent vow. We set subtle traps. We used the winding paths I sensed, and the ones Darian knew from years of patrols. We moved like shadows through the woods. The air thickened. The tension broke. We were approaching the rogue camp, the scent of unwashed fur, and stale fear. It was strong. I could hear their coarse laughs, their arrogant snarls. They were celebrating their victory. Too soon. Suddenly, Darian stopped. He raised a massive paw. The pack froze behind us. We were at the edge of the rogue camp. Torvin was there. He stood beside the rogue alpha, his face twisted in a cruel, triumphant smile. He looked up at the moon. He didn't know what was about to hit him. He was a monster. He was a traitor. Darian looked at me. His golden eyes met mine. They held all the fury, and all the love, all the resolve. The space between them burned. For Aster, he growled, his voice a low rumble. For the moon shadows. For the song, I finished, my voice clear. My wolf pressed forward. My silver light began to pulse. It was a silent promise. This was it. The final push. As the sky darkened further, we prepared for the fight of our lives. The very air vibrated with anticipation, and justice, our world tilted, the point of direct confrontation was imminent. The cold, damp air of the cave hung heavy, like a burial shroud. Aster's lifeless hand was still clasped in mine. Her skin felt like marble. So cold, so still. My own power, after her sacrifice, had felt broken. My chest ached. But then, Aster's last words, those faint whispers echoed in my mind. Don't give up. We need you. Her voice was so clear, like a tiny persistent chime. Darian, battered and broken, sat beside me. His face was a mask of utter despair. He didn't speak. He just sat. His silence was louder than any howl. I felt it, clear as day, his profound guilt through our bond. It was a crushing weight. He blamed himself, because he was the alpha, because he believed it was his job to protect everyone, and he felt he had failed. He reached out. His large, rough hand covered mine. His touch was unsteady. It trembled. His golden eyes, usually so sharp, were dull with grief. No matter how hard she tried, he couldn't hide his pain. Aster, I whispered, my voice raw. My throat felt tight. She said, we need you. I looked at Darian, my vision blurred by tears. She died. For us. For the pack. For the song. My thoughts spun. He pulled me closer. He didn't speak. He just held me. His strong arms, usually so stiff, now felt like a desperate anchor. His warmth seeped into me. And then, a strange thing happened. As our bodies pressed together, as our grief mingled, our bond pulsed. Not with pain, not with fury, but with a deep, quiet resonance. It was like a forgotten chord being struck. My wolf stirred, her world tilted. In the quiet that followed, a whisper, not of sound but of knowing, bloomed in my mind. It was the ancestral Omega magic. It showed me a truth I hadn't grasped before. Our power wasn't just individual. It was collective. The strength flowed not just from me, but from all Omegas. And it could flow through a true alpha, a willing alpha, because the ancient betrayal had fractured this unity. It had cut off the alpha from the very source of balance. Aster's sacrifice, her dying act of pure love and connection, had somehow opened a new pathway. She had given her essence to the bond, to us. I pulled back slightly, looking into Darian's grieving eyes. The lie, I whispered, my voice gaining a fragile strength. The lie was that Omegas fought alone, that our power was small. But it's not. It's the unity they feared, the balance. He just stared at me. He listened, as if fate demanded it. We are strong together, Darian, and if we truly unite, if your strength connects to ours, then we can fight back. My chest ached. Aster's sacrifice, it hadn't been in vain. It was a catalyst. It was the echo of hope. And just like that, a tiny flicker of resolve, born from the very ashes of my despair, began to stir. We had to try. For Aster. For the pack. The cave floor was cold beneath us, but the air hummed with a new energy. After that, Darian and I sat close, sketching out a plan. A desperate plan. On the smooth, dusty ground, he used a sharp stone to draw the terrain, the rogue pack's positions, Torvin's likely movements, his usual tactics. "They'll expect us to defend here," Darian rumbled, pointing to a narrow choke point. His voice was grim. "Because it's the most logical place." "But logic didn't save us from the betrayal, did it?" I countered, my voice firm. My wolf pressed forward. "We won't be logical. We'll be moon shadows." I looked at him. "We'll be balanced." My heart pounded so loudly. My vision, sharper now, showed me patterns in the forest, hidden pathways, weak spots in the rogues' formation. I saw how their aggression made them blind. I explained my plan. It was daring. It was unorthodox. It was Omega strategy. We'll draw them out. Because of that, their main force will overextend. And then we'll hit them from 3 sides, not just with warriors, but with the Omegas, with our unity magic. We'll surround them. We'll overwhelm their senses. We'll break their cohesion. I could feel the energy surge, the strength, the power. Darian listened. His golden eyes, now clear and focused, tracked my every word. He looked at the map. He looked at me. This is madness, Rhea," he muttered, but his voice held a strange awe. "It breaks every rule." Then he looked at Aster's body, still lying wrapped in a pelt nearby. "But the rules, they failed us." He took my hand. His grip was firm. This was it. His trust. Complete. "We need the Omegas," I stated. "Not just for healing, but for the core energy. For the song." My voice trembled. "And we need you, Darian. Your strength. Your leadership. But it must be balanced. With us." He nodded slowly. "Then let's do it," he said, his voice deep with conviction. "Let's show them what a true Moonshadow pack looks like." He stood. His back was straight. His shoulders, usually so burdened, now seemed to carry a new resolve. What followed was a quiet gathering. The remaining loyalists, a small, tired band, looked at us with hope and fear. We shared the plan. We spoke of Aster's sacrifice. We spoke of the ancient betrayal. We spoke of the true Omega strength. We were unified. For the first time, truly unified. We were ready. Because we had to be. Our numbers were few, but our spirit was unbroken. This was our last chance. The moon hung high, a silver eye watching from behind thin clouds. Its light cast long, dancing shadows. After that, we moved. Our steps were quiet, grim. We were a small force, maybe 30 wolves, counting the few Omegas who could walk. But our spirits felt mighty. Each heartbeat was a drumbeat, a rhythm of purpose. Darian led the way, his massive form a dark silhouette against the forest. His scent, usually dominant, was now mingled with mine. It was a blend of earth and wildfire and hope. I walked beside him. My heart pounded so loudly, my senses were stretched tight. I felt the pulse of the forest. I felt the nervous energy of our pack and the arrogant anticipation of the rogues. Because of that, I could almost taste their victory. But they were wrong. We weren't defeated. Not yet. We were coming. "Are they ready?" Darian whispered, his voice low. He kept his gaze fixed on the path ahead. He was focused. He was a weapon. "As ready as they can be," I replied. My voice was steady. "They understand. They know what we're fighting for the moon shadows, for our truth, for Aster." My voice trembled. Aster's name hung in the air, a silent vow. We set subtle traps. We used the winding paths I sensed. and the ones Darien knew from years of patrols. We moved like shadows through the woods. The air thickened, the tension broke. We were approaching the rogue camp. The scent of unwashed fur and stale fear, it was strong. I could hear their coarse laughs, their arrogant snarls. They were celebrating their victory. Too soon. Suddenly, Darien stopped. He raised a massive paw. The pack froze behind us. We were at the edge of the rogue camp. Torvin was there. He stood beside the rogue alpha, his face twisted in a cruel, triumphant smile. He looked up at the moon. He didn't know what was about to hit him. He was a monster. He was a traitor. Darien looked at me. His golden eyes met mine. They held all the fury, and all the love, all the resolve. The space between them burned. For Aster, he growled, his voice a low rumble. For the moon shadows. For the song, I finished, my voice clear. My wolf pressed forward. My silver light began to pulse. It was a silent promise. This was it, the final push. As the sky darkened further, we prepared for the fight of our lives. The very air vibrated with anticipation and justice, our world tilted. The point of direct confrontation was imminent. The rogue camp reeked of stale fear and misplaced confidence. After that tense march, the air crackled, just like electricity before a storm. Then Darien roared. His voice, a thunderclap, tore through the night. For the moon shadows! For the song! And just like that, we surged forward. My heart pounded so loudly. The final battle was on. Chaos erupted. Werewolves clashed. Snarls, howls, the sickening thud of bodies. Darien was a dark blur of fury and power. He fought like a storm, tearing through the rogue ranks. His strength was immense, but then it pulsed with a new, vibrant energy. It was our energy. The bond between us hummed, amplifying his every move. His golden eyes, blazing with purpose, never left mine. He was the thunder, and I was the lightning. Torvin, his face a mask of twisted hatred, snarled at me from across the battlefield. He was leading his rebel faction, trying to attack our loyalists from behind. "You will not shatter our traditions, Omega," he screamed. He lunged at a young warrior. My wolf pressed forward. My silver light, usually a pulse, now exploded from me. It was a radiant wave. It was an ancestral howl made visible. It slammed into Torvin's traitors, disorienting them. It filled them with overwhelming empathy. It made them drop their guards. Then, I turned my power on the rogues. Their aggressive, chaotic energy fractured under my unifying force. They stumbled. They cried out. They were losing their cohesion. Because I wasn't just healing. I was binding. I was connecting. I was making them feel each other's fear. The rogue alpha, a scarred monster, lunged at Darien. His jaws snapped. He was a beast of pure destruction. Darien met him head-on. Their clash shook the earth. My heart skipped. No matter how hard she tried, the rogue alpha was relentless. So I poured my power into Darien. All of it. The combined Omega and Alpha strength surged through him. His fur bristled. His muscles bulged. He moved faster. He hit harder. He was a force of nature. He was an unstoppable wave. "She is my Luna," Darien roared, his voice vibrating with raw authority. He drove the rogue Alpha back. He pinned him against a tree. "She is the song, the true strength of this pack." He faced Torvin. His golden eyes met the traitors. "You sought to destroy us with lies, but we are reborn through truth." He defeated Torvin, not with a killing blow, but with a forceful public disarmament, stripping him of his rank and his authority. The rogue Alpha, broken by our combined power, whimpered. His reign of terror ended. Just like that, the remaining rogues scattered. They fled into the night. The battle ended. The air was thick with smoke and triumph. Darien, bruised but magnificent, turned to me. His golden eyes, filled with love and respect, met mine. The space between them burned. "For Aster," he growled, his voice rough. "For the moon shadows. For us." And I knew, truly knew, Everything had changed. The morning after the battle, the moon shadow territory felt different. The air smelled of wood smoke and pine needles, not blood. After that roaring chaos, a profound silence had fallen. My body ached, my mind spun. My heart pounded so loudly it was almost a hum of exhaustion. But then there was Aster. She lay on a fresh pelt, her breathing shallow. Her small frame was bruised. Her fur was matted with blood. Darian was beside me, his massive paw resting gently on my back as I worked. My hands, still tingling with the aftermath of unleashed power, pressed against her wound. The silver light pulsed, stronger now. It was a steady flow. It was a comforting warmth. I poured every bit of my restored ancestral magic into her. My thoughts spun. I begged her to fight, to come back, to hear the song. Moments later, Aster stirred. Her eyes fluttered open. They were still glazed with pain. But then they focused on me, and then on Darian. Her lips curved into a faint, weak smile. "Rhea," she whispered, her voice like a dry leaf. "Darian." Tears streamed down my face. She was alive. My relief was a tidal wave. Darian let out a shaky breath, his shoulders slumping in relief. He had been so afraid. Because of that, her survival meant everything. Meanwhile, the captured traitors, including Torvin, were brought before Darian. Torvin's eyes were cold. His face was set. Darian, standing tall beside me, no longer just commanded with authority. He commanded with wisdom. "You betrayed your pack," Darian stated, his voice calm but unwavering. "You sought to destroy our unity. Because of that, you are exiled. Forever." His decision was final. Torvin snarled. He was dragged away. His face was a mask of furious defiance. He left a bitter scent on the air. What would he do? Would he try to return? The other rebels, seeing the true power of our bond and the decisive justice, surrendered. Some were exiled. Others, those who showed true remorse, were given a chance to earn back their place. Because our pack was about healing, not just punishment. The moon shadows, wounded but victorious, began the task of cleaning up. My Omega sisters, their eyes wide with new purpose, moved through the injured, offering comfort. And their own tentative touches. The light of unity, that inner glow, was spreading. My world tilted. This was just the beginning of our new path. What followed was a cautious, hopeful peace. The scent of healing herbs now stronger than blood. Weeks turned into months. The moon shadows healed, physically and spiritually. After that brutal fight, the forest too seemed to sigh in relief, its trees standing taller, its leaves greener, the scent of pine, and new growth. My bond with Darian wasn't just strong, it was the very essence of our pack. It pulsed with pure love and shared purpose. The old hierarchy was gone, replaced by a new balance. Omegas were no longer unseen servants. They were essential, valued, they advised, they healed, they guided. Aster, fully recovered, was now a respected figure, her quiet wisdom sought out by all. She became my closest confidant in the new council. She led the other Omegas in relearning their true ancestral practices. Because of that, her strength inspired everyone. Darian and I ruled together. He was still the alpha, his presence a mountain of strength. But his decisions were now tempered by my intuition and the collective wisdom of the Omegas. He'd learned to listen, to feel, to connect. His golden eyes, once stern, now held a deep, tender warmth when he looked at me. He often spent hours just watching me teach the younger Omegas, a soft smile on his lips. His arm would often wrap around me. "The pack is thriving, Rhea," Darian murmured one evening. We stood at the edge of the moon shadow territory. The full moon hung high, a luminous silver disk. It bathed us in its gentle glow. More than it has in centuries. His voice was deep. It was filled with pride and love. He pulled me closer. His scent in the air was home. Because we remembered, I replied, leaning my head on his shoulder. My heart pounded so loudly. Because we found the song again. My wolf stirred, her soul answered. The wind carried his name. We were not just mates. We were the architects of a revolution. Our love story, once born of rage, was now a testament to balance and unity. It was a legend whispered across the lands. What's more, other packs, hearing rumors of our newfound vitality, were starting to send envoys. Curious, hopeful. Epilogue. Years passed. The Moonshadow Pack flourished. It became a beacon, a place where alphas and omegas worked in perfect harmony. One sunny afternoon, I watched our own pups, a boisterous, happy trio, tumble in the tall grass. Two strong, dark-furred little ones, all alpha energy. And then, a smaller, silver-furred female pup. Her eyes, a startling mix of gold and silver, looked up at me. She giggled. She was an omega. And she howled with pure, unburdened joy. Free. Her world tilted. Our love, our fight, our shared destiny. It had birthed a future filled with boundless possibility. And just like that, everything had changed. Thank you so much for watching this video. We really appreciate you spending your time with us. If you enjoyed what you saw, we've got a whole library of other videos packed with more great content just like this, waiting for you on our channel. So, why not dive into another one right now? And hey, if you want to make sure you don't miss out on our next upload, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. We'd love to have you join our community and see you in the next video. Thanks again.